as important as it is to listen to our own gut and our own instinct, absolutely we should trust our pets because they can see, smell, and understand things that we just may not. What do you guys think?
Well, not me, but my mom always had a bad feeling about my uncle's wife. While they were married, she tried and failed to place a hit on him. They aren't together anymore. To check on my father that one night, he passed away the next day. He suffered with cancer for 8 months, and I truly thought he had more time. I never got to say goodbye. I touched his head at his funeral. I had a bad feeling out of nowhere about a Hinge date. As soon as my Uber pulled up and I saw him, my heart just sank. Something felt wrong. We walked together and talked about not much, and I honestly felt sick. Like it was hard to breathe. I just needed to get away from him. I sat down and said I wasn't feeling well and had to go home. He was immediately concerned and offered to flag a cab for me, which made me feel like I was being dumb and I should give it a chance. After all, he hadn't done anything. He ended up confessing to me that he had killed 3 classmates in high school. He grew up in a developing country and his family had money, so they just covered it up and moved him away. Not my best online dating experience. Letting a best friend back into my life multiple times, and she did pretty much the same thing each time. Pretty dumb of me to believe she changed for the better, and each time it got worse. This online gal I just gotten to know asked me out. I said no thanks, and she pressured me. I had a bad feeling, but ignored it because I couldn't imagine anyone wanting me in their life so badly, and it was flattering. Same bitch threatened suicide to keep me with her when I tried to escape. Friend ghosted me for a year. Had a gut feeling I should not reach out to talk to him. I did. Things were good until I got pregnant with my partner. Gut feeling told me I should just cut off contact with the friend. I didn't. He gave me the key to his house in a Mother's Day card, and I stopped talking to him. It got weird really quickly, telling his entire family it was his baby. He told me my partner it was his baby and tried to sabotage my relationship because he felt like we were meant to be together. I should have trusted those gut feelings. Instead, I gave him the benefit of the doubt and ended up with a hell of a lot of stress just after I had a baby, and I spent the next 6 months paranoid they were going to turn up at my door. It's 1984, dropped mom at work, had a $20 bill in my pocket. I went back home, small voice said, "Play 453 daily game." I ignored it. 2 hours later, "Play 453 daily game." Again, ignored it. Got mom, went home, same little voice said play 453 daily game. Ignored it. Watched drawing, 453. Shit. If I'd used the $20, would have had 10,000.
If you get that gut feeling about lotto or calling someone, you should probably act on it. Now, if you didn't want to spend all $20, you could have spent 1 or 2 or 5 or 10. But yeah, that's a good voice.
I lost my friend in the crowd at a beer festival. I found her back when it was time to leave. I didn't see her drink all that much, but I told her my brother could come pick us up, and she didn't have to drive. She assured me she was fine. Oh boy. She didn't look drunk, but I felt something was wrong. However, I didn't want to start a fight, so I got in and decided to trust her. The car flipped twice before crashing in a gas station parking lot. I was miraculously unharmed, except for the PTSD that makes me unable to drive to this day. My friend also survived. I should have just called my brother and let her crash alone. I ate assorted chocolates that I randomly grabbed from Walmart. My gut was basically punching me as I ate about 3, and without thinking, I grabbed a Benadryl right after. Turned out, 1 or more of said chocolates had peanuts in them. I pushed away the worry shortly after and immediately went to take a shower, as I had school tomorrow and it was already late enough. By the time I got out, my stomach felt like someone had stabbed me repeatedly and I could barely stand. I thought it might have just been a stomach bug and tried to sleep it off or rest until I vomited. Well, after tossing and turning in agony, I finally got up and went into the bathroom. As soon as I turned on the light, I looked in the mirror and freaked the F out. My ears had doubled in size. My face was puffy, and when I looked at my arms, there were these giant hives scattered around. I immediately called my grandma, and she took me to the ER, where they gave me a medicine. Can't remember what it was exactly, and stayed for a couple more hours until I was okay to go home. We were both genuinely surprised I didn't asphyxiate due to how severe my allergy is. but I guess my random Benadryl pill helped me enough. Missed school the next day though, so that was a plus. But I've now learned to thoroughly read labels instead of skimming through and reading just the contains and may contain list at the bottom ingredients. Do you ever feel that you have that much of a connection with someone that if things were how they should be, you would have still been together? I had such a someone, and the events of this story happened while I was still in high school. If you know me from the other threads, you should know I have a certain kind of gift. Her name was Jennifer. She was your traditional high school sweetheart, very sweet, very innocent, very alive. We had a lot of fun together, and she was very supportive of me in all that I did from academics to sports, etc. It was also a great plus that she was very pretty. You can say we were having the time of our lives, but I always felt like something was going to go wrong. It started with some weird stuff happening about 3 months into our relationship. Headaches, body pain, blurry vision, which we all blamed to fatigue and stress. By the time we were about a year or so in our relationship, I felt that she was really sick. Sometimes when she sings, she'll suddenly stop mid-song, or would sometimes get so agitated over the littlest things. By the time her family noticed, it was already too late. So, a year and a half from the time she said, "Okay, I'll be your girlfriend," she was gone. It hit really hard, especially since I always felt that I should have told her family about those headaches. I always felt that despite now being 34 and happily married, if Jen was still alive, we could have stuck together. I will always regret not having an us, but she will always have that special place in my heart for her, and I'm thankful she gave me a chance. Walking back home from a friend's place after a get-together a few days before Christmas last year. I'm only 5 blocks away, and I always walk in a busy boulevard before turning the corner down my block to my apartment building, which I'd say is about 400, maybe 500 feet away. Anyway, I'm now 2 blocks from mine when I hear a guy say "that guy there," and I glance to my left, and I see a guy talking to a driver of a car stopped at a traffic light look at me. He immediately turned and walked towards me, crossing the street toward me. My gut kicked in right away, and my mind started racing. Do I continue on to my building, not knowing if I can make it before that guy is near me? Can I even run? I had hernia surgery about 5 weeks prior and still had physical restrictions and limitations. Or should I walk another half a block and into an always busy bar? I opted to continue home, thinking I've made this walk for years. I'm just being paranoid. I got to my corner, glanced back. Guy still following. I'd say he's a good 300 or more feet back. As I turn my corner, my gut kicks back in, and I start running as best and as fast as I can, which is nowhere near my normal speed, but the guy can't see me, as I'm now obstructed by a building. I get close to my building, and I see the guy is in fact running, but he obviously didn't expect me to do so, as I now have put a good amount of distance between us. I get in my building, slam the locked door shut, and get to the elevator quickly, which thankfully was there. Never again will I doubt my gut. I was very lucky. Could have been much worse. That time I went to a popular guy's house in high school, even though I barely knew him. I was just getting over a really toxic ex that I broke up with a week before this. I just wanted to meet new people and make friends at this point since I lost everyone I was friends with in my grade. I knew something sketchy was going to happen while we played video games. Things happened and I instantly regretted ever going there. Since I was going through trauma at the time, I was afraid that I was going to be hurt if I said no. Now that I'm an adult, I really regret not speaking up for myself, because I only got hurt more by not saying anything. It's still playing in my head and won't go away, and it's been almost 5 years. I told no one about this until now. I lived on a farm way outside of city limits. People who don't want their dogs anymore have a habit of dumping their dogs or other animals near our property, thinking that millions of years of suppressed instincts will suddenly appear and the dog will be fine because nature. I had chickens, and they were my pride and joy. Sadly, chickens are very fragile, and all the dogs and other critters that are around the property get to them sometimes. We had this husky mix that we were going to potentially adopt in the moment that someone had recently dumped, solely because he got along well with the chickens and didn't hurt them. He also got along with our dogs. Now, this is where things start to turn bad. I have anxiety and a horrible sense of if I'm being paranoid or if it's an actual gut feeling. We had to take our dog to the vet, and when we got home, we would take the husky to the vet. Turns out that I was having a gut feeling but dismissed it. My mom is mean, and I convinced myself that she would make a comment on how he had done so well before outside with the chickens that it would be fine if he was by himself for the day. Wrong. When my mom drove past me and my aunt, she called saying there was some blood on him and that we should check on the chickens when we got home. My aunt goes into a panic, and I got a sickly feeling in my stomach. Graphic warning. When we got home, there was a disembodied chicken wing in our front yard. My aunt immediately covered my eyes and led me inside while I was shaking. I wasn't allowed outside until she had cleaned up the front yard with my little sister. We tried looking around everywhere, but we gave up for a bit. It wasn't until my dad got home we tried looking again. I was very upset, and my sister is almost a textbook definition of lazy when it comes to looking for things. I screamed at her about if it was her cat that was missing, since I was missing 5 whole chickens. I eventually found one. Pure grief is something I never want to experience ever again. Anger, grief, regret were the 3 pure emotions I felt that day. 3 of my ladies were dead because I couldn't tell a gut feeling to anxiety. I have 2 out of the 5 left, but I can never tell them that it was my fault that their sisters were killed. That one of my hens, the 1 out of the 4 sisters we had raised since they were chicks, were dead because I was an idiot. I've had chickens eaten and killed, but it never hurt as hard as this loss did. It was entirely my fault. I never wanted more to hurt an animal than I did that dog. I love animals and adore them, yet the amount of hatred and violence I held back from that dog. We only had him for 12 hours after that incident. I remember glaring at that dog as my mom held him and talked to his new owners on the phone. I stayed a good 6 to 10 feet away so that I wouldn't do something I would regret. I still don't forgive myself for my chickens' lives being lost. I would do anything to be able to tell them that I'm sorry, and that they would be able to understand that.
I'm sorry that you went through that. You really should trust your gut when it comes to that, but this is not your fault. It's nature. It's the unfortunate side of it, but it is. I have a difficult relationship with raccoons because of something they did to one of my cats when I was 13, but it's nature.
Sometimes it's rarely the case. I just have a feeling in the morning that I should stay home because it's going to be a horrible day. I'll have that feeling because I just had some hours of sleep, or I'm on my period, or everything goes wrong in the morning, or all of it together. I go anyways, and it's awful. Not just because of the morning, but these days always get so much worse. I had this about 3 times before deciding to stay at home in these situations, and I'm always so thankful to myself that I made it to call in sick. Usually these days I'm emotionally very unstable, and my concentration level is 0, so it's the best decision to take a day off. This is sensitive. Please read at your own discretion, okay? I was really sick around 16 to 19 and was on a lot of doctor-prescribed painkillers. For a short backstory, this is a pretty compressed version of events. Anyways, I got sick at a wedding, had to take some of the meds I brought. My boyfriend wanted to take me back home to sleep it off. As soon as I sat down in the passenger seat, my gut dropped and I felt like I was in danger. I brushed it off as that impending doom feeling I got when I get really sick and tried to relax. I dozed off or zoned out in the car. When I woke up, I was in my bed, naked and bloodied a bit. My then boyfriend carried my drugged up ass in the house to my bed and assaulted me. He refused to touch me the rest of the day. I think a part of me broke that day. That part is healed now, but I remember struggling to clear my mind of the drug fog and just feeling absolutely helpless. I didn't want to understand what happened for months. When I opened up the door for my best friend, I had been friends with a guy for around 4 years. I lived at home alone. I had a deaf pit bull I had for about a year. My guy best friend came to stay the night with me a week prior to the incident. He had known my dog since I got him as a puppy, and my dog was trying to attack him. My dog chewed through 3 doors just to get to him. He wound up not staying the night. My dog has literally never acted like towards anybody. The sweetest dog ever you meet, and yet my dog continuously tried to attack him. About a week later, I get off work, and about an hour goes by. I'm watching TV, and my dog starts going ballistic. Once again, he's deaf. He cannot hear anything. Suddenly, a knock on my door happens, Ask who it is, and it's my guy friend. I suddenly get this gut feeling that I shouldn't open this door, that something terrible is about to happen. I felt safe because my dog was behind me. I went to go open the door for him, and I'm pulled out and thrown to the ground with 3 grown men continuously beating the crap out of me. They continued to beat me for about 5 minutes. It took the cops 2 days to get my friend after this had happened. Needless to say, I always trust your pets and always trust your gut.
As important as it is to listen to our own gut and our own instinct, absolutely we should trust our pets because they can see, smell, and understand things that we just may not. What do you guys think?
I suspected I was suffering from schizophrenia and told my parents about it when at the back of my head I had a voice saying, "Do not tell." They put me in a psych ward for 3.5 months when I was normal. The psychiatrist experimented with various medicines on me, due to which I am now unable to understand anything I read properly, write a sentence without my mind going blank in the middle of it, understand what others are saying, and feel any emotion. Basically, I feel no emotions. I went inside the psych ward, a normal dude, and came out effed up. I want to sue them, but I don't have the money to pay the lawyers, and on top of that, my country's entire system is so corrupt that I might even lose the case. I basically turned into a zombie. When I was going into high school, I went to 2 open houses, and the first one went great. I was pretty indifferent of going into a new school, but the second high school I visited, I walked around for 5 minutes and ran into the bathroom and had a panic attack. Literally nothing was wrong, nothing provoked it. I immediately told my friends I needed to leave and left like 10 minutes after it started. I remember telling my parents in the car, "Something bad will happen there." 2 years later, a stabbing happened outside the school and a student was murdered during school hours. I watched it happen while waiting for my ride.